Jai Guruji. Anantam Shukrana Guruji for this beautiful, blissful divine satsang. And thank you for blessing us with this beautiful seva of reading as well as listening to the Shivpuran. Let's begin for the synopsis of the last week. Last week we read chapter 1 of KotiRudrasamhita of the volume 3 of the Shivpuran. In this we read about the greatness of Jyotirlingas and their Upalingas. Now the sages requested Suta to explain the phallic forms of Lord Shiva. So Suta told them that in order to bless the world, Lord Shiva assumed distinct phallic forms. Shiva incarnates in places where he is devoutly worshipped by his devotees. After carrying out their task, Shiva stations himself there in form of Jyotirlingas. The devotees attain perfection by worshipping these phallic forms or Jyotirlingas. He then narrated the 12 Jyotirlingas and also the names of their Upalingas, which are the ancillary phallic forms. Here are the forms. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Someshwara is Antakesha. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Malika Arjuna is called Rudreshwara. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Mahakala is called Dugdesha. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Omkara is called Kardamesha. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Kedareshwara is called Bhutesha. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Bhimashankara is called Bhimeshwara. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Nageshwara is called Bhuteshwara. The Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Rameshwara is called Gupteshwara. And the Upalinga of Jyotirlinga Kushmesha is called Vyaghareshwara. These Jyotirlingas yield all desires and dispel the sins of the devotees. With that, we end the synopsis. Today we will read chapter 2, which is the greatness of Shivalingas, and chapter 3, the penance of Anusuya and Atri. Today the English reading will be done by Urvashi Aunty, and we do not have Hindi reading. If you are also interested in reading the Shivpuran, you could reach out to Seema Aunty or me or Rashmi Aunty. Enjoy the readings. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji.
Jai Guruji, Chapter 2. Anantam Shukrana Guruji for this seva. Chapter 2. The greatness of Shivalingas. Suta said, Kashi on the banks of the Ganga is very famous as the bestower of liberation. It is full of phallic images. It is the abode of Shiva. The important phallic image there is Avimuktaka. Kriti Vaseshwara is in the forms of an aged man and a boy. Tilabandeshwara is in the Shashvamedha. Sangamesha is at the place where the Ganga meets the sea. What is called as Bhuteshwara is the bestower of all to the devotees. What is famous as Narishwara stands near the Kaushiki river. Vatukeshwara is on the bank of the Gandaki river. Pureshwara stands on the bank of the Falgu river and is the bestower of happiness. Siddhanteshwara is the bestower of Siddhi at the very site. What is famous as Dureshwara is in the northern Patan. Shigneshwara as also Vaidyanatha are famous. What is famous as Japeshwara stands at the battleground of the Diji. Gopeshwara, Rangaveshwara, Vameshwara, Nagesha, Kamesha, Vimaleshwara, Vyaseshwara, Sukesha, Bandeshwara, Humkaresha, Surochana, Bhuteshwara, and Sangamesha are the destroyers of great sins. Kumareshwara is on the banks of the Taptaka river. Siddheshwara and Sinesha are famous. Rameshwara, Kumbesha, Nandishwara, Punjesha, Purnaka in the city of Purna are all great shrines. Brahmeshwara was formerly installed at the holy center of the Shashvamedha at the Prayag by Brahma. It is the bestower of the fourfold aims of life. Someshwara wards off all adversities. Bharadeshwara increases brahmacharya. Sultankeshwara is the bestower of desires. Madhavesha there itself protects devotees. O noble sages, what is called Nagesha is installed in the city of Saketa. The shrine is particularly the bestower of happiness to those born of the solar race. Bhuvanesha in the city of Purushottama is the bestower of good siddhis. Lokesha and Mahalinga bestow all bliss. Kameshwara is also Shiva's phallic image. Ganesha causes great purity. With the desire for the welfare of the people, the shrines Sakeshwara and Shukra Siddha exist. Vateshwara is famous as the bestower of the fruits of all desires. Kapalesha is on the shore of the ocean. Vaktaresha is the destroyer of all sins. Dhautapapeshwara himself is partially the Supreme Lord. Bhimeshwara, Sureshwara are great shrines. Nandishwara is the bestower of knowledge and as such is worshipped by the world. Nakeshwara is highly meritorious, so also is Rameshwara. Kantakeshwara is named Vimaleshwara as well, so also is Dhartakesha at the confluence of the Purna and the ocean. Chandreshwara should be known as the bestower of the lustre of the moon as fruit. Siddheshwara is the bestower of all desires. Bilveshwara is famous and so also is Andhakesha, where the Daitya Andhaka was formerly killed by Shiva. Shiva assumed his form partially and became famous as Sharaneshwara. He is the bestower of happiness to all the worlds always. Kardamesha is the greatest. Kotisha is on the mountain Arbuda. Achalesha is famous as the bestower of happiness to all the people always. Nageshwara is stationed on the banks of the Kaushiki forever. What is named Ananteshwara is the receptacle of all welfare and auspiciousness. Yogeshwara, Vaidyanathaeshwara, Kotishwara, and Sapteshwara are also famous. Bhadreshwara is very famous. Bhadra is Shiva himself. So also are Chandishwara and Sangameshwara. Thus the phallic forms of Shiva installed in the eastern quarter of ordinary and extraordinary efficacy have been narrated to you. O great sage, I shall now narrate to you the phallic images of Shiva installed in the south. Chapter 3. The penance of Anasuya and Atri. Suta said, the linga Matakajendraka in Brahmapuri at the Chitrakuta had been installed formerly by Brahma. It bestows all desires lavishly. To the east of it is the phallic image Kotisha bestowing all boons. It is installed to the west of Godavari and is famous as Pashupati. The Lord himself appeared in the southern quarter in the name of Atrishwara for helping the people and for the happiness of Anasuya. He enlivened people at the time of drought. He is himself Shiva partially. The sages said, O Suta, O fortunate Suta, how was the excessively divine Shiva born as Atrishwara? O one of excellent rights, please narrate it. Suta said, O great sages, you have put the question well. I shall narrate the story, on hearing which constantly one is relieved of sins. There is a great forest, Kamada, in the south near Chitrakuta. It is beneficent to the good in the performance of penance. There the son of Brahma, the sage Atri, performed a sphere penance accompanied by Anasuya. O sage, formerly once there was a great drought there, extending to 100 years, which put all living beings to distress. O great sages, the trees became dry then without sprouts or fruits. No water was seen anywhere, even for daily routine work. There was no greenery anywhere. The winds blew dry and rough. There was a painful hue and cry all over the earth. On seeing the dissolution of all living beings, the chaste lady, the beloved wife of Atri, said to her husband, I cannot bear this distress. The sage then sat in the yogic pose, repeated the pranam 3 times, and sank into the yogic trance. Atri, the great sage of perfect knowledge, meditated on Shiva, devoid of aberrations, the great splendor stationed in the soul through his own soul. When the preceptor sank into meditation, his disciples, unable to get food, deserted the sage, their preceptor, and went away. Anusua, the chaste lady, then was left all alone. She joyously served the sage constantly, making a beautiful clay image through mantras in accordance with the rules. She worshipped Shiva through mental modes of service. After serving Shiva repeatedly, she eulogized him with devotion. Anusua, the well-behaved wife of the sage, circumambulated her lord and Shiva. After prostration, she went round anti-clockwise too. On seeing that beautiful lady, the Daityas and Danavas were excessively agitated by her brilliance. They kept themselves away, as people do from a blazing fire. O leading Brahmins, Anusua's service to Shiva, performed sacredly through mind, speech, and body, surpassed even the penance of Atri. As long as the sage was engrossed in pranam, the gentle lady continued her service. O excellent sage, the couple thus engaged in their activities remained there alone. Thus a long time elapsed. The excellent sage, sunk in great meditation, did not wake up at all. Anusua, the chaste lady, worshipped only her lord and Shiva. That chaste lady did not care to know anything else. On account of his penance and her worship, the gods and the sages, Ganga and the rivers came there in order to see them with pleasure. On seeing his penance and her service, they were surprised. On seeing their wonderful activity, they asked one another, which of the two, the penance or the service, is the greater? They themselves replied, Atri's penance is good, but Anusua's service is better. On seeing their performance, some said, her service is better. Others said, difficult penances had been performed by sages of yore, but nothing like Dadichi's penance was ever performed by any. The sage is blessed, Anusua is blessed, since great penance is pursued by these with great pleasure. If there be a person performing such an auspicious, difficult, and excellent penance anywhere in the 3 worlds, we do not know. After praising them thus, they went away, but only Ganga and Shiva were left. Ganga said, delighted in worshipping us, the chaste lady is too much engrossed in virtuous rites. I shall help her and then go. O great sages, Shiva too, drawn by the meditation of Atri, stationed himself there in full digits. He did not go to Kailasha. O excellent sages, 54 years had elapsed. There was no rain at all. As long as the sage was in meditation and penance, Anusua decided not to eat anything. Now, listen to what happened when the sage was performing penance and Anusua continued her service. With this, I conclude chapter 3 and tonight's reading. Thank you, Jai Guruji. अब हम गुरुजी से आज्ञा लेंगे. शुक्राना. जय गुरुजी.